What do we think letter A is? I'm just going to go in order. Cylinder. Letter B, prism or pyramid? Prism. What's the base? It is not a rectangle. Triangle. Yes. So triangular prism. So that would be... You what?
You base it off the base?
Yes. There will only be 2 bases in a prism. How many bases does a pyramid have? 1. All right. Letter C, prism or pyramid? Pyramid, because it has only 1 base. What is the shape of the base? Rectangular pyramid. So that was letter C. Letter D, we don't really have to discuss it. What is it? Cube. E. E, what do we think? Rectangular prism. Anything that looks like a box that you could move in. Letter F. Rectangular prism again. Letter G, prism or pyramid? Prism. And what's the base? Triangle. It's a triangular prism. And then the last, prism or pyramid?
Triangular pyramid.
It's going to be a pyramid, and the base is indeed a triangle. So, we are going to talk about prisms. At one point, we're going to go over the area formulas again. If you don't know them, I would write them down on this paper. But just to remind you, your review sections are due on Thursday. You now have 3 out of 4 of them. If you're not going to be here and you want to get a head start, 11.6 is already on that table. So if you wanted to get a head start, it's over there. You'll have a short quiz over factoring on Friday, and then a quiz over volume on Monday. Okay? So, we're going to talk about volume. Can anybody describe what volume is? What takes up the inside of a space? So how much air fits in a basketball? How much water is inside of a water bottle? Things like that. So we're going to talk about prisms. The volume formula, you'll want to write it in on the box at the top of your notes. Volume is the area of the base times the height of the whole object. So in this box. Area of the base times the height, and I would fill it in that it's going to be the height of the entire object. If I write it on the screen, it would probably be wise that you write it down. So area of the base times the height of the entire object. You're good? So, how many bases does a prism have? 2. Does it have more than 2? No, only 2 bases. And the base, or the height, is what pushes the bases apart. I would especially write that part down. The height will not always be up and down, but the height will always push the 2 bases apart. So I would write down this fact. Because the height will not always be up and down. Sometimes it'll be left to right. Because is the base always on the bottom? No, not always. So it's highly important to know what the base is. That's why we were doing our last little circle thing we just did. A prism is a solid geometric figure whose 2 end faces are similar, equal, and parallel figures. So what would a Kleenex box be? What kind of prism? A rectangular prism. What about a Toblerone? Triangular prism. So think about this. Those are the triangles. What did I say the height was? You should have written it down. That pushes the 2 bases apart. So the height here would actually be left to right. It would not be up and down. Okay, so the height is what pushes those 2 triangles apart. And then this stumped my first hour. What kind of prism is this? It's still triangular and a triangle. It's a cheese. You've never seen a
What did they say?
Oh, what did they say? Oh, a bunch of things. Everything except for a triangle. Sorry, they said rectangle, then they said trapezoid at one point. I think...
You don't know what cheese is?
Sorry. So the height here would actually still be up and down because the bases are on the top and the bottom.
Draw your H's kind of like
You draw your what?
W.
No, I couldn't. Okay, so you don't have to write this down, but the number one thing I want you to do when you start a volume problem is highlight the base's shape. It'll be a rectangle, a square, a trapezoid, or a triangle. So you will need out a highlighter. I would take that out now if you haven't already. There will only be 2 bases, and they will be parallel. What does parallel mean to me? It means a lot to me, Noah. What does it mean to me? What does parallel mean?
It's running together, like they have this. They will never hit each other.
They'll never hit each other.
Intersect.
They'll never intersect. Thank you. Okay? Number 2, find the area of the base, and you'll plug it into the formula. You don't have to. I'm just explaining it. You'll find the area of the base. You need to know the base's shape for that. Plug it in the formula. You'll multiply it times the height of the entire object. You'll answer, I know it overlaps, you'll answer in cubed units, cubic units. So that means inches cubed. That means feet cubed. That means what? Meters cubed.
Centimeters
cubed. Reason being, these objects are 3-dimensional, right? We agree? 3-dimensional?
Yes.
That is why the 3. When you find area, that is 2-dimensional, correct? So that is why the 2. Okay? So, if you don't remember the area formulas, this would be the time to write them down. This is probably the last time I'm ever going to say them in class. They're just expected to be known. What is the area formula for a rectangle or a square? Length times width. What is the difference between a square and a rectangle?
A square
Square has all congruent sides.
So why, when I ask what shape is this, most people say a square. Yeah, you're right. You know it. But it's not.
Are we talking like me and Lana?
No, you're good. But it would be like this, and I'd be like, what shape is that? A square? That is a rectangle.
That's a square.
You're being annoying. He's doing it on purpose, I know.
A square and a rectangle.
You're ridiculous.
Hey, help me out. That's definitely a square.
Next one, triangle. What do we think? 1/2 base times the height. That's the height of the triangle, not the height of the 3-dimensional. Trapezoid.
1/2 times 8 minus base.
Nope, plus sign. Plus sign. Plus sign.
I always
Plus signs. What do I know about those 2 bases of a trapezoid? What do they have to be? Yeah, they have to be parallel to each other.
One gotta be up there, one gotta be at the bottom.
Well, yes, unless they're left to right. But yes, you thinking right.
She just had to, like. I don't even.
Last one, circle.
Oh, that's like
Pi times r squared.
2 pi r.
Pi r
Listen
squared.
to Alana.
Pi r squared.
I would write that one down. Cool.
He said 2 pi r squared.
Pi r squared. That's it. So, we're going to look at our first examples. Letter A. What does it look like our bases are? What shape? Triangles. Go ahead and highlight them. Triangle and a triangle. What kind of triangle, to be specific?
Right triangle.
Right triangle.
Okay.
So when we go to find the volume is the area of the base times the height of the object. So now that we have our bases, what do you think the most important thing to find is now? The area. So we're going to find the area of the base. Sorry, I'll color code it better. What is the area formula for a triangle?
Base times height.
1/2 base times
1/2 base times height. Here's what you need to know about a right triangle, and I would make sure you write it on the side.
Yeah.
The hypotenuse is never the base or the height.
Should we already know this?
You should, but you should also already know the area formula for a circle, so there's that. So this side that is across from the right angle will never be anything to us, just information.
Yeah.
So they gave us 3 and 4. Are either of these the hypotenuse? No. So we can use both of these in the formula. So we're going to do 1/2 times 3 times 4. Does it matter what order you multiply in? No. So I'm going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. What is 1/2 of 12? 6. So the area is 6 times the height of the object. The height of the object is what pushes the two triangles apart. So what separates the two triangles? That 2. So it's going to be 2 centimeters. So 6 times 2, which is 12 centimeters cubed. That's it. Go ahead and highlight on the right. What do we think? I agree. It's going to be a trapezoid. I'm going to make that smaller so we have room. It's going to be a trapezoid. So we got the top and the bottom. It's going to be the same volume formula. Volume is the area of the base times the height of the object. So we're going to use the correct area formula for a trapezoid, which is
1/2 B1 plus B2 times height.
times the height. Perfect. So what are the two bases? 14 and 6. I agree, because it's parallel and congruent to the one on the bottom. So that's going to be a 6. So 14 and 6. And then the height of the trapezoid. So only be looking at the trapezoid. It is going to be a 3. Perfect. So then we just do some math. 14 plus 6 is 20. Keep your 1/2. And your 3. Sorry, I'm running out of room. What's 1/2 of 20? 10 times 3, which is 30. So the area of the base is 30. Times the height. So what separates, or what's the distance between the two bases? 5. 30 times 5 is? 150 centimeters cubed. That's it. How we feeling?
Hopefully it doesn't get any harder.
Not today. We just keep doing it. Eventually, what's going to happen is it's going to say, here's the volume, find the height of the object. So use the same formula. You just find something missing.
Divide.
Yeah. But I'm just telling her how it... Trying to help her be optimistic. Find the volume. So what is the base of this prism? Yeah, triangles. There are too many rectangles for them to be the base. There are 3 rectangles. So we're going to use the same volume formula as before. Maybe you can see it better up there, yeah. So we're going to find the area of the triangle. What is the formula for the area of a triangle?
1/2 base times height.
1/2 base times the height. What is the base of our triangle? 6, and the height is 4. It doesn't matter what order you multiply in. You could do 1/2 of 6, which is 3, and then times 4, which is 12. So the area of the base is 12. And then the height is what pushes those two triangles apart. So what do we think the height is going to be here? 9. So it'd be 9. So 12 times 9 is 108 centimeters cubed. You did it differently. That's fine. So, because you're multiplying all of these numbers, because you do 1/2 base times the height, and then you multiply it times the height of the whole prism, if you did it in a different order, it's going to get the same answer. But you have to be careful because eventually, like I was telling her, it's going to give you the volume and then ask you to find the height of the triangle or the height of the... You what? Yeah. So, did you plug in...
I did.
6 and 9, yeah. So the problem with that is later on when you're going to be asked to find. You just need to know the difference between the two. 4 is the height of that triangle, and 9 is the height of the whole thing. Does that make sense? All right, last thing is a cylinder. So, a prism has two bases that are congruent and parallel. Do you think that is the same for a cylinder?
No. Well,
Just look at it. Look at your two cylinders on your page. Do they have two congruent parallel bases? Meaning the same and parallel? Yes. So they're going to have the same formula. Okay? These are pictures of cylinders. Same formula. Area of the base times the height. What is the area formula for a circle? Because that's the base. Pi r squared. Here's what the technical formula is, and in your book it's going to have it. It's going to say pi r squared h. I still prefer area of the base times the height because it's just the same thing over and over again. You're not going to forget it. This falls under the same formula as this prism. It's just less to remember. So, we would do it the same way. Our bases are circles. So same formula. Volume is the area of the base times the height of the object. We already said it, but how do we find the area of a circle? Pi r squared. What is the radius here? 9. What is 9 squared? 81 times 3.14. We will get a large number. Hold on, sorry. 254.34. So that's the area of the base times the height of the object, which is 6. It's what pushes your two triangles apart. We should get like 400 something, yeah? Maybe not. Just kidding. 1526.04 feet cubed. All right, and then the last, we still have circle bases. So we're going to find the area of that circle. What is the radius here? 4. 4 squared is 16. And then 16 times pi, what's that going to give us? 50.24. Yeah. And then times the height of the entire cylinder. So what do we think the height is? 7. So what are we going to get? 0.68. And then it is centimeters cubed. Good. So here is what you're going to be doing. You have a good amount of time. You're going to do a maze. You will need a sheet of paper out. Go ahead and take one out.